class. So today we're going to talk about Satan's ministers exposed. Satan's ministers, write that down. Satan's ministers exposed. And Solomon, we're going to open up with Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. This is going to be a lesson on history, so pay very close attention. Like I said, it's going to seem like a follow-up with Bishop Yawasab's class. Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. Let's start there.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
So the Israelites, because we broke the commandments, were prophesied that we would be scattered among all people. Go ahead.
From the one end of the earth even unto the other.
From the one end of the earth even unto the other. Now that goes through many, many things. It happened during the Assyrian captivity, Babylonian captivity, Persian Mede captivity, Greek captivity, and Roman captivity. Then it goes all the way up to the sub-Sahara captivity and the transatlantic captivity. Did you finish the verse?
No, sir.
Read on.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So under the sub-Sahara slave trade, we worship stone god called the Kaaba stone. In Mecca, that was one of the largest slave ports in the world. Okay, Mecca, then you had Medina, where they had sold us as slaves, but primarily Mecca. From there, after that, you had the transatlantic slave trade, where we learned to worship. Yes, put it on the screen. Put it on the screen. Thank you. A white Jesus, a European Jesus from France. I guess he was from, I don't know where the hell he was from. No, Rome, I'm sorry, from Rome. And it had us worship the wooden cross, things of that nature. So read the verse again.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So when we, during the sub-Sahara slave trade, that was the Arab captivities, wherein they scattered us from Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, India, and Pakistan, so forth and so on, many other places where we worshipped Allah. That's how many of our people became Islamic. And the Arabs also came in through North Africa and came down and forced us into bondage, spiritual bondage. Then came, as I was saying, the Christianity under Rome. They sent forth Spain and Portugal, as Bishop Yawasab went over earlier today in Heaven and Earth. What name of his class was Heaven and Earth Part 2? Heaven something. What was it? War in Heaven and Earth. Thank you. War in Heaven and Earth Part 2. He went in detail on that with Spain, which was very good. Give me verse 68, please.
Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
And as we know, that word Egypt is Greek. It's synonymous for bondage, house of bondage. Read.
With ships.
With what?
With ships.
With ships. Come on, IT. Don't let me down. With ships. So we went into captivity with ships, as you see on the screen, with ships. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
By the way Moses prophesied it would happen, that's the way it happened. Go ahead.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
We wouldn't see ancient Egypt no more again, that captivity. Go ahead.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
Once we got off those slave ships, we were sold unto our enemies. Go ahead.
For bondmen.
Slave men.
And bondwomen.
Slave women. Go ahead.
And no man shall buy
and
you.
No man shall save you. That's what buy means. It's an old Quaker word that means to save or to redeem. Give me Matthew 1:17, please. Now I'm jumping to the New Testament where Christ spoke about these things. Well, where it was spoken of during the time of Christ. Go ahead, read that.
Matthew chapter 1 and verse 17.
And this is a very pertinent verse in the Bible that Christians have been taught to skip over. But it's our job to bring it out. Go ahead.
So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations.
Read.
And from David unto the carrying away into Babylon are 14 generations.
So from David to Babylon, there was 14 generations. From that time period, from David to Babylon, you had the Assyrian captivity, which predated the Babylonian captivity. So after Assyria came Babylon. So from David to Babylon, you had two captivities. The Assyrian captivity, where northern kingdom was taken into captivity. Then Babylon, when Nebuchadnezzar took Assyria down and southern kingdom of Israel. Everybody with me so far? Read on.
And from the carrying away into Babylon unto Christ are 14 generations.
And from Babylon to Christ, from Babylon, you had what? Persia Media, then the Greek captivity, Roman captivity. That's what happened from Babylon to Christ. So from Babylon, you had Persian Medes, Greek, and then Rome. Christ was born during the time of Rome. Give me Esther 1:1, please. I'm going to show you the Persian captivity. Esther 1, verse 1.
This is the book of Esther, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces.
So during this time, that's where Israel was scattered. There were Israelites scattered from India unto Ethiopia. There was 127 provinces. Give me 1 Maccabees 3:41 about the Greeks.
This is the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 3 and verse 41. And the merchants of the country, hearing the fame of them, took silver and gold very much, with servants, and came into them very much.
And came in what?
And came into the camp to buy the children of Israel for slaves.
Okay, right. Read again. I need that verse again because something didn't sound right. Read again.
And the merchants of the country, hearing the fame of them, took silver and gold very much, with servants, and came into the camp to buy the children of Israel for slaves.
Read.
A power also of Syria and of the land of the Philistines joined themselves unto them.
All nations was buying us as slaves during the time of the Greek captivity. From there, Luke 21:20, please. Touching on the captivities before we really get into it. Go ahead.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies,
meaning the Roman armies, go ahead,
then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
So Christ was telling the disciples, when you see Rome encircle Jerusalem, run for your lives. Run. Take your wife, your children, your entire family, and run for your lives. Go ahead.
For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
So he said what Moses prophesied about was going to go down. Go ahead.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
Because during that time there was a 7-year famine. Rome didn't allow food or water into Jerusalem. We were forced to be cannibals. People were eating their children. That's why it says, woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. You can read about that in Deuteronomy 28, what verse is it? 49 to 61, something like that. Read on.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
The Israelites shall fall by the edge of the sword.
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
So Christ was saying, you're going to be led as slaves in all nations. Go ahead.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles.
So now we know who's in Jerusalem today. Go ahead.
Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
So the Gentiles have taken control of Jerusalem, and their time of rulership has not been ended as yet. Give me Matthew 2:13, because people often ask, how do you know the Israelites fled deeper into Africa and not towards Syria? Because when you read the history, Rome, they had garrisons all throughout Syria. When you read the history, like in Josephus, for example, you couldn't go up that way, but you could go further down. They only had parts of Egypt. They didn't even have Egypt fully. Read that.
Matthew chapter 2 and verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt.
Into Africa. So at that time, this predated the Suez Canal, which was built in the late 1800s. The Suez Canal blocks off Israel from Egypt. You can't walk now. Now you need a ship to get across. But prior to that, you could walk from Israel into Egypt. It's one land mass. That was the land of Ham. Israel was called the land of Canaan, which was the son of Ham. Everybody would understand that. All right. Now, while we were in Africa, you can put it on the screen. Give me Psalms 106, verse 35. Read that.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 106, verse 35. But were mingled among the heathen and learned their works, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them.
So notice what it says about the Israelites. It says, we were mingled among the heathen and learned their work. So while we were in Africa, the deeper regions of it, can you zoom in closer for me? Like if you look around Gabon, Gaboo, and I don't know how to pronounce that. You see you see the Jews. Esau has a listing of where many of the Jews they discovered went to. You got Lwando Jews at the very bottom in red. I'm looking at the red. You got Mavumbu Jews, okay, all in those regions, right? Thank you. Move up. It's St. Thomas, which is San Tome. What are you doing? You don't want to zoom in? Okay, right there. That's St. Thomas today, San Tome Jews. Go along the coast, go into Nigeria, show Nigeria right there, right above the blue, right above the blue. Go above the blue, right. It says, look, Nigeria. Y'all see it, right? All right. And look, and highlight those cities. Highlight the cities right under Nigeria. Okay, you got Levite cities, it says, Levite cities. And then you got Beni Ephraim. You had a large remnant of Ephraim that fled, that were there. That's why in John 4, you read about the Ephraimites in Samaria. So a large remnant of them that did not get captured fled into Africa. You see the evidence right there. Then you see Dahomey. And the Dahomey primarily were Nilotes. When I say Nilote, I'm referring to Hamites. Everybody understand that? When you look up the word Nilote, those are the Hamites. Okay, that's the the movie Woman King dealt with the Dahomey Empire. Now understand, in the Dahomey Empire, you did have Israelites. Remember we just read, we mingled among them. Everybody remember that? We just read it, right? So we mingled among them and learned their work. So there's a lot of intermarrying in there. So that's what, when we went, me, Deacon Isaac, I forgot who else was with me. Was you with me? Do you see you can see the different facial structures. And when you talk to them, they'll tell you that their father was either Bantu or their father was either Nilote. All right. If you go across, you see next to Dahomey, next to the blue. How about that? Next to the blue. Right. You see, it says Jewish traces there. Go up. And I can't even see. There's no zoom there. Okay. Go down. I said next to Dahomey. Right. Okay. Up, 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 up. Right there. See Dahomey, right? Right in between Dahomey and the Ashanti. Right there. Yes. Right there. Right. Up to the right. Yeah, right there. Right there. Thank you. Stay right there. I can't even, can somebody read with that? I see Jews, but I can't see the top word. Dahomey Jews. Okay, so that's what I want y'all to see. Dahomey Jews. We were amongst the Hamites. So be careful when y'all are teaching. Don't make it seem like all of Dahomey were Hamites. That's not true. Some of them were Israelites. We mingled amongst. Look at the Ashanti. Some books going, oh, the Ashantis were some great slave traders. There were Israelites amongst them. Okay, Israelite. That's why you got Jewish traces all around there. All right, go up now towards your left, towards my left, towards my left. Oh God, oh God. My left is over here. Yes, thank you. Okay. Now you see in Senegambia, you got Judeo-paganism around Cape Verde. So you could tell when it says Judeo-paganism, those Jewish they were mixing African spiritualism with the laws of God. Okay. Right above that, to the right, it says Lam Lam. And next to Timbuktu, right there. Lam Lam, once a Jewish colony, so they had gotten destroyed by the time Esau, enslaved by the time, I'll say it that way, by the time Esau got there. Or put this together. To the left, Jewish kingdom of, what's that word? What's that word? Ghananta, Ganta, I don't know. Ghanata. Okay, go up further to the left. It says medieval Jewish kingdom of Kamnuri. Okay. So this is what I want you to see. We had many empires in Africa. Go up. Go up. Okay. Now you see top left, it says some of y'all may know about Beni Musa, which means son of Moses. Right there. Go along. So all up there in the red goes into the Jewish kingdoms, this kingdom of Judeans, our people. Okay, now go over to the right. Go over to my far right. This way. Yeah, go up. Can you zoom in on the top? It says put or foot and the fulas. Red, no. The words. The words, IT. It says put or, yes, I want that. Can you zoom in closer to that? Let me look. There's something I wanted out of there. If y'all see it, it's just something I wanted about the word ruddy. Go down. Raise it up. Raise it up. Second paragraph. Okay. Read that. Who can read it? Solomon, can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
They call themselves also Powell, foul, plural, Paube, Fulbe, ruddy, clear brown.
See what it meant back then? Clear brown. The next word is people. Clear brown people, meaning no blemish, no pimples, no, what's the word? Hyperpigmentation, no moles, just clear, good skin. That was the meaning for ruddy forever until Esau ben Yehuda came and changed it to red. Now you got Israelites online arguing, it means red. It does not mean red. It meant clear skin. That's all it meant, you simple ones. All right. That's all I wanted out of there. So now give me the next page about the Spanish and Portuguese. Give me the next one, please. Spanish and Portuguese. So prior to the United States of America captivity, we were in Spain. Can you read that, Solomon?
The Spanish and Portuguese Jews.
So these were black men and women that were in Spain and Portugal. Go ahead.
Claimed their descent from the tribe of Judah.
Go ahead.
And found these pretensions on a supposition which prevails among them, that many of their ancestors removed or...
Okay, raise it up. Let me see. Oh, yeah, right there. Was there something at the bottom of that? No, I wanted that at the bottom. Go all the way down to the bottom, the subnotes. Go ahead. Because Judah, Benjamin, Levi were all together. A lot of them. I'm not saying all Judah, Benjamin, Levi. There was a remnant in Spain. Go ahead.
It appears that the Jews have no accurate deduction of their descent or genealogy. They suppose that they are in general of the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, with some among them of the tribe of Levi.
Esau know that them three was there. There was a remnant of them three. So go to the next page now.
Was sent into Spain at the time of the Babylonian captivity.
So this history of the Jews says many Jews were sent to Spain at the time of the Babylonian captivity. That's why, give me that in Romans 15, 24 through 28. Romans 15, verse 24 to 28. This is why the Apostle Paul said this.
Romans chapter 15, verse 24. Whensoever I take my journey into Spain, I will come to you.
See that? So why was Paul going to Spain? Because there were Israelites in Spain from the time of Babylon. Go ahead.
For I trust to see you in my journey, and to be brought on my way thitherward by you, if first I be somewhat filled with your company. But now I go unto Jerusalem to minister unto the saints. For it hath pleased them of Macedonia and Achaia to make a certain contribution for the poor saints.
So they took money for the poor Israelites. Go ahead.
Which are at Jerusalem.
Read.
It hath pleased them verily, and their debtors they are. For if the Gentiles have been made partakers of their spiritual things.
The Gentiles is talking about those Israelites that did not grow up under the law of Moses. Go ahead.
Their duty is also to minister unto them in carnal things.
So he's saying help them out financially. Okay, we're giving you spiritual things. Support this truth. And that same message goes to men and women today. Go ahead.
When therefore I have performed this, and have sealed to them this fruit I will come by you into Spain.
So Paul was going into Spain. Let's go back to the book now. I wanted that last paragraph. Go to the bottom where it says in Portugal. Read that.
In Portugal, the name of a Jew is a term of such high reproach.
They made laws. Or if you've watched Shout Out Tuesday or Our Hidden History, there were laws forbidding our people calling themselves Jews. Go ahead.
That the government found it necessary to enact a law which forbade any person to call another by that appellation.
You couldn't call yourself. It's the same thing. Get me that in 2 Maccabees 6, showing you the same thing that happened during the time of the Greek captivity happened during the time of Spain. 2 Maccabees, is it 6 and 6? Give me that.
Yes, sir. This is the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
So Spain took the same practice that the Greeks did. Believe it or not, it's going to happen again in these last days. That's why one of the executive orders that your former President Trump, he made Judaism a race. He's not God. You can't do that. You can't do it. But he wrote it down. So go back to the book IT, please. Go back to the book Critical Review. IT, give me the book Critical Review. It should be right after that book that we just showed. Yep, that's it. This is Critical Review or Annals of Literature. All right, give me the next page. Yes. Solomon, read that.
The trade soon increased, so that in 1455, not less than 700 or 800 Negro slaves were annually exported to Lisbon.
Mm-hmm.
At length, the Portuguese in 1471 discovered the Gold Coast.
So that's Ghana. The Gold Coast is Ghana. Go ahead.
And ever since, the intercourse between Portugal and Guinea was continued.
Jump down to the next highlighted area.
The discovery of the Gold Coast further
served
indeed yet more to enlarge the sphere of the navigation of the Portuguese than their slave trade, but it forced them also to extend themselves on the coasts and to settle colonies in Congo, Angola, and other places.
So this is what I want y'all to see, how the white man has established colonies in the Congo, Angola, and other places. When they say they never went into Africa, that's a lie. They're lying. They said, we never went in there. Africans brought them to us. No, they had colonies of slaves throughout Africa. That's what this book is showing you. And this is an old book. Go ahead.
Which they had till then neglected.
Mm-hmm.
King John II in 1492 expelled all the Jews to the island of St. Thomas.
Remember what we read on the map. It says San Tome. That's St. Thomas. Go ahead.
Which had been discovered in 1471. And to other Portuguese settlements on the continent of Africa.
So the Portuguese had settlements on the continent of Africa. So now, like Bishop Yawasat was saying during his class, when Columbus was coming to the Americas, at the same damn time, they were enslaving us. That's what's in 1492, the King John II expelled all the Jews to the island of St. Thomas. As what? As slaves. That's what they were doing, breaking them in. Go ahead.
And from these banished Jews.
See that? And from these banished Jews.
The black Portuguese, as they are called.
So remember, they stopped calling them Jews. They made a law not to call them Jews no more. They called them the black Portuguese. Go ahead.
And the Jews in Loango, who are...
Remember on the map, we showed you Loango. It was at the very bottom of the map. Go ahead.
Who are despised even by the very Negroes, are descended.
So they were descended of the same race. So you had some of our people that kept God's law and some that did not. Go ahead.
In the beginning of the 16th century, the Spaniards and Portuguese began to transport Negroes for familiar labors to the West Indies and Brazil.
Notice it went from calling them Jews, now they're calling them Negroes. Negro is a Spanish word. Never forget that. The word Negro is a Spanish or Latin word. It means black. That's all it means. In Spain, they called us Negros, Negros. It's the same word. Read again.
In the beginning of the 16th century, the Spaniards and Portuguese began to transport Negroes for similar labors to the West Indies and Brazils, by which the Negro trade was rapidly increased.
Okay, from there, give me the Wikipedia. I think it's all the way at the bottom, IT. I sent it late. Slavery in Spain. Slavery in Spain. It's a Wikipedia link. Slavery in Spain. It should be near the bottom. Yes, that's it right there. I don't really trust Wikipedia too much, but for giggles, raise it up. Start from there where it says, no, just start reading, Solomon.
Slavery in Spain can be traced to the Slag era, Phoenicians and Romans.
And notice this is always what white people do so that they don't feel too guilty. They say, oh, slavery started before we got involved in it. It started way back then. The Phoenicians did it. That's what they do. Go ahead.
In the 9th century, the Muslim
Now they throw the Muslims in, which they did. Muslims is doing it, but they always try to absolve themselves or lessen the blow to themselves. I'll put it that way. Go ahead.
The Muslim Moorish rulers and local Jewish merchants traded in Spanish and Eastern European Christian slaves. Spain began to trade slaves in the 15th century, and this trade reached its peak in the 16th century. The history of Spanish enslavement of Africans began with Portuguese captains Anton Goncalves and Nuno Tristão in 1441.
You see that? 1441 is when it began. 1441. So, give me the next one that says, next Wikipedia, Dum Diversus. Many black historians don't call it the transatlantic slave trade. They call it the transatlantic slave war. That's what they call it. Because think about it. Nobody could just walk up to you and put a shackle on your neck. There's going to be a what? There's going to be war. You're going to be fighting. And that's what was going on in the interiors of Africa all the way to the coast. It was war. That they made an agreement, a pact with the Hamites to round us up. They didn't call us Israelites, they called us Bantus, Bantu. That's what they call us. The Nilotes call us the Bantus, and they rounded many of us up. So put that up, Dum Diversus, please. Let's read this. Now I want y'all to see the year difference. The year difference is like maybe almost 10 years difference, but it's the same thing. Read that.
Dum Diversus, English, until different, is a papal bull issued on 18 June 1452 by Pope Nicholas V.
Now, many old history books say it was 1441 when he wrote it, but this says it was written in 1452. I don't give a daggone. I know it's the 1400s. Go ahead.
It authorized Afonso V of Portugal to conquer Saracens.
Saracens means Muslims.
And pagans, and consigned them to, quote, perpetual...
When it says pagans, I mean anybody that did not follow white supremacy. That's what that's talking about. Go ahead.
And consigned them to, quote, perpetual servitude.
Perpetual servitude. Go ahead.
Pope Calixtus III reiterated the bull in 1456.
So it was reiterated in 1456. Go ahead.
With Inter Caetera, not to be confused with Alexander VI's bull of the same title.
Because Alexander VI, which was Caesar Borgia's daddy, he reiterated the same thing too in the Americas. Go ahead.
Renewed by Pope Sixtus IV in 1481 and Pope Leo X in 1514 with Procellus Donationis. English, especially the description. The concept of the consignment of exclusive spheres of influence to certain nation states was extended to the Americas.
That's what I was saying. It was extended to the Americas when?
In 1493.
Read.
By Pope Alexander VI with Inter Caetera.
That's who during the time of Columbus, okay? And Amerigo Vespucius. All of that, that's all at the same time. So don't think it's separate from 1441 to 1492. It's all at the same, happening at the same time. Give me the next one about what is a papal bull? What is a papal bull? Yes, put that on the screen. Because you read in books that the Pope issued a papal bull. And be like, what is a papal bull? It means horse. Raise it up. That's the literal meaning. But go ahead, read that.
A papal bull is a type of public decree.
So it's a mandate. A public decree is a mandate. Go ahead.
Letters patent or charter issued by a pope of the Catholic Church. It is named after the leaden seal, bulla, that was traditionally appended to the end in order to authenticate it.
So the Pope authenticated it with his seal. Like you see the seal right there, it's black and it got a rope on it. And it had their family crest, whatever it was, and it would be put onto this edict or this written document. Okay. From there, give me Isaiah 10. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 10.
Verse 1.
Verse 1.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 10 and verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees.
Hey, IT, can we look up decree? Can we look that word up? Decree. Decree. Let's look that word up. Put it on the screen. Read that, Solomon.
Decree. Now, an official order issued by a legal authority.
Now, look at the similar words. Read the similar words.
Order, edict, command, commandment, mandate.
So what I want y'all to see is the words an order, an edict, a command, commandment, or mandate. Like when we were mandated, people were mandated to get what? The COVID vaccine. It was a mandate. It is a decree. So go back to Isaiah. Now I'm showing you that there were many unrighteous decrees throughout history, and God is prophesying about it in Isaiah 10 and 1. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed.
They wrote a decree, a mandate to reduce everybody that didn't follow white supremacy Christianity into a life of servitude, slavery. That was a decree, an unrighteous decree. Everybody with me?
Yes,
okay, read on.
To turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people.
So all these decrees was against God's people, the Israelites, us. Go ahead.
That widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless.
Right, because they were killing the men.
And what will ye do in the day of visitation, and in the desolation which shall come from far? To whom will ye flee for help? And where will ye leave your glory? Without me they shall bow down under the prisoners, and they shall fall under the slain.
Come on.
For all this his anger is not turned away.
God's anger is not turned away. Go ahead.
But his hand is stretched out still.
So these unrighteous decrees have been from the time of Isaiah, which began the Assyrian captivity, all the way till today. These unrighteous decrees. Go ahead.
O Assyrian.
Now you read about Assyria. Now there was a literal Assyria. But guess what? And today, when you read many of the scriptures, the prophecies, Assyria is a metaphor for the captivities that we were under. So right now, America is being called, O Assyrian. Go ahead.
O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation.
And the Most High is beautiful to write it like this, because you're reading, like in Christian commentaries, they'll take you back thousands of years, always talking about back then and back then only. It's not talking about back then and back then only. All of the words of God brings it up till today. Go ahead.
I will send him against an hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge, to take the spoil, and to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mire of the streets.
Read.
Howbeit he meaneth not so.
Yeah, in his mind, he thinks it's not of God, it's his own thoughts. Go ahead.
Neither doth his heart think so, but it is in his heart to destroy and cut off nations, not a few.
That's how America thinks, to cut off nations and destroy, not just a few nations either. Give me 2 Corinthians 11 and 14. We're going to read 14 and 15.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 11 and verse 14. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light.
So Satan, when he came down during the time of Adam and Eve, he did not come down as a snake. It's using the word snake in Genesis because he came down craftily, cunningly. It tells you how he came down. Read it again.
And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light.
He came down as an angel of light. Go ahead.
Therefore, it is no great
now,
thing.
Now, this is the part we want. It says, and therefore, it is no great thing
if his ministers,
his servants,
also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness.
You see that? You see that right there? It's no wonder if even his ministers are transformed into what?
Is as the ministers of righteousness.
Was that the whole verse?
Whose end shall be according to their works.
So now we want to go into their ministers. Who are their ministers? Give me Deuteronomy 28:33. This is today's subject. Ministers of Satan's ministers exposed. Who are his ministers who will come down like angels of light, ministers of righteousness? Let's see.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up.
Right, that's what you see going on today when they're stealing the resources of the people's lands. Go ahead.
And thou shalt only be oppressed and crushed always.
The Israelites would be only oppressed and crushed always. Go ahead.
So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see.
See that part? So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. So why would you be angry? Why would you mad? Give me that in Ecclesiastes 7:7. Give me that. This is the only thing that makes you mad. Watch this.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
Only if you're wise will you be angry. Like when we go throughout the continent of Africa, the people ain't mad. They're not mad until they learn the scriptures. That's when they get mad. That's when they can clearly see the injustice that's being done. But the average person, the average Joe or Kunta on the street, don't have a clue. He's I don't care. But then when we explain it and show them in the word of God, that's when they start to get mad. Okay? Give me America's best friend, Leopold, please. Leopold. Yep, put him on the screen. So here is one of Satan's ministers, King Leopold II. This is a minister of Satan. Now we're going to look at some of what King Leopold did in the Democratic Republic of Congo in the 1800s. Give me the next image. Blow it up. This is a father whose daughter had her hands and foot cut off. As you can see, can you put the highlight on the hands and feet, please? Right there. Hand and feet cut off because she did not bring back enough rubber to the colonizers. Okay. Give me the next picture. If you did not bring enough rubber, you had your hand and or your foot cut off, amputated. Let's zoom in on these pictures. Now notice, these are not grown people. These are kids. Look, no hands. No hands. Hands are cut off. You didn't bring back the quota. These are unrighteous decrees that Belgium had set forth. Okay. Look at the little boy bottom left. You got the little boy in the middle center. That might be I think that's a girl up top. I'm not sure. Up top, up top, up top, up top. Right there. Right there. Look at that one. Now go bottom left. My left. Yep, right. That's a little boy right there. Hand cut off. Okay. You can see that these are kids. Give me the next one. Yep. Blow that. Look what he's holding in his hand. A hand. And this is what Christianity never talks about. Your churches never talk about. Let's just sweep it under the rug and make believe it never happened. Now give me the article or the paperwork, the letter from King Leopold II. Give me the letter. Solomon, you're going to do some reading today.
Bishop, and if we bring it out, they call us racist and say, why are you going into the past?
Exactly. Read that. Put it up on the screen. I want the first one. That's you on page 3. I want right there. Solomon. So you're going to have to blow this up big so we can see it, all right? I want everybody at home. You're on page 3. Right. Go ahead, Solomon.
It quickly dawned on them that a fifth...
letter from who?
Oh, yeah, I got something different on here.
Oh, no, they got page 3 on the screen. I'm looking at it. They got page 1 on this. Can you read the big screen?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Letter from King Leopold II of Belgium to colonial missionaries, 1883. Reverends, fathers, and dear compatriots, the task that is given to fulfill is very delicate and requires much tact. You will go certainly to evangelize, but your evangelization must inspire above all Belgium interests.
So he's sending his missionaries to evangelize. Go ahead.
Your principal objective in our mission in the Congo is never to teach the niggers to know God.
See that? So that what kind of evangelism are they doing? It's never to teach the niggers to know God. Go ahead.
This they know already. They speak and submit to a Mungu, one Zambi, one's a comber. And what else? I don't know. They know that to kill, to sleep with someone else's wife, to lie and to insult is bad.
Now, you see that part? They know that to kill, to sleep with someone else's wife, to lie, and to insult is bad. Give me that in let's give me Galatians 1. We coming right back here. We coming right back here. So IT, you could just hold it on the side. Solomon, give me Galatians 1, 6, and 7. We're gonna start there.
Galatians chapter 1 and verse 6. I marvel that ye are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Christ unto another gospel, which is not another, but there be some that trouble you and would pervert the gospel of Christ.
So now when we read this, the initial understanding is that the scribes and Pharisees were manipulating the Israelites to leave Christ and go back to the law of Moses, the animal sacrifice. But now today, nobody's practicing animal sacrifice. So you as an Israelite teacher, you got to be able to look at the scripture and say, how does this relate to us today? Who is perverting the gospel of Christ? It's this white man. He's the one who has perverted the gospel of Christ from the time of Pope Nicholas V. Probably before that, and actually before that. So now give me Romans 2:14. Watch this. Now remember, it said they know God, but they know only not to kill, not to sleep with your neighbor's wife, and to lie. They know that's bad. Watch this.
Romans chapter 2 verse 14. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these, having not the law, are a law unto themselves.
Meaning what? There were Israelites Paul encountered that were not under the law of Moses. But they knew what? Not to lie. They knew that adultery was wrong. They knew that to kill was wrong. Like when you read in, is it Acts 26, when Paul went on that island of Melita? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Solomon, can you find me that real quick?
Yes, sir.
I'm only going there because nobody raised their hand and said they knew what I'm talking about. It's not 26. I want the one where they went on the island. 28 and 1, thank you.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 28 and verse 1. And when they were escaped, then they knew that the island was called Melita.
Read.
And the barbarous people showed
Notice
us.
it called them the barbarous people. Well, you know what? They weren't under the law of Moses. They weren't, as you would call, civilized. Go ahead.
And the barbarous people showed us no little kindness.
Meaning they showed a lot of kindness. Go ahead.
For they kindled a fire and received us every one, because of the present rain and because of the cold. And when Paul had gathered a bundle of sticks and laid them on the fire, there came a viper out of the heat and fastened on his hand.
So a snake bit Paul. Go ahead.
And when the barbarians saw the venomous beast hang on his hand, they said among themselves,
Watch what they say.
no doubt this man is a murderer.
They say he got bit possibly because he's a murderer. Go ahead.
Whom, though he hath escaped the sea, yet vengeance suffereth not to live.
So they knew that you get judgment for being a murderer. Let's go on back. Go back to the letter of King Leopold, please. So start from there where it says they know that to kill.
They know that to kill, to sleep with someone else's wife, to lie, and to insult is bad. Have courage to admit it. You are not going to teach them what they know already. Your essential role is to facilitate the task of administrators and industrials, which means you will go to interpret the gospel in the way it will be the best to protect your interests in that part of the world.
You see that? You see that? Their job was to go to interpret the gospel in the way it will be best to protect your interest in that part of the world. So they were going to do what? Pervert the gospel. Get them under Christianity and pervert the gospel of Jesus Christ. It was true then, it's true today. He's going to give some examples. Go ahead.
For these things, you have to keep watch on disinteresting our savages from the richness that is plenty in their underground. To avoid that, they get interested in it and make you murderous, competition, and dream one day to overthrow you.
So don't teach them so that one day they'll dream and overthrow you. Keep them submissive and low. Don't give them dreams of grandeur that they'll say, you know what, we need to overthrow this white man. Don't let them even think like that. Go ahead.
Your knowledge of the gospel will allow you to find text ordering.
Now, I'm giving you an example of Galatians chapter 1, verse 6 and 7 about the perversion of the gospel. Go ahead.
And encouraging your followers to love poverty.
We see that? Encouraging your followers to love poverty. Where are you at? Where you at? Put the little thing there so I know where you at. Go ahead.
Like, quote, happier are the poor because they will inherit the heaven.
Hey, give me that Luke 6 and 20. I'm going to this is what they did. This is why your mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, they'll pull out these scriptures with no understanding. Read that.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 6 and verse 20. And he lifted up his eyes on his disciples and said, Blessed be ye poor, for yours is the kingdom of God.
So use scriptures like that to manipulate the minds of the people in the Congo. Let them think it's good to be poor. That's talking about poor in spirit, by the way. Meaning what? You lost your heritage and culture. But guess what? You're going to get the kingdom. That ain't talking about you broke and ain't got nothing. Not so much. Give me Matthew 19:23. The world, we had the world at one time. It was taken from us. Matthew 19:23.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 23. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, Verily I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again, I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God.
Let's go back to the letter. Go back to the letter where we were at. Where were we at now? Read from right there again.
Quote,
read from your knowledge. Read from your knowledge.
Your knowledge of the gospel will allow you to...
Remember, these are Satan's ministers. Go ahead.
Will allow you to find text ordering and encouraging your followers to love poverty. Like, quote, happier are the poor because they will inherit the heaven. And, quote, it's very difficult for the rich to enter the kingdom of God.
That's what we just read in Matthew 19:23. So he's commanding them, pervert these gospel, pervert these words of Christ. Go ahead.
You have to detach from them and make them disrespect everything which gives courage to affront us.
Anything that they uphold that could encourage them to make them overthrow us, you got to disrespect it. Belittle it. Go ahead.
I make reference to their mystic system and their war fetish, warfare protection, which they pretend not to want to abandon. And you must do everything in your power to make it disappear.
Come on.
Your action will be directed essentially to the younger ones.
And he said, focus on the younger ones. Go ahead.
For they won't revolt when the recommendation of the priest is contradictory to their parents' teaching.
See that? So if you get in the young one's head, they will not revolt when their parents say, no, this white man's a devil. We need to kill them and get rid of them. The kids will be like, nah, ma, you wrong. Nah, dad, that's not the way. Because why? They got indoctrinated by Christianity. Christian lies. Go ahead.
The children have to learn to obey what the missionary recommends, who is the father of their soul.
You see that? The missionary is the father of their souls. You can't make this up. Go ahead.
You must singularly insist on their total...
This is worse than the Willie Lynch letter. Go ahead.
You must singularly insist on their total submission and obedience. Avoid developing the spirit in the schools.
See that? Avoid developing the spirit in the schools. Go ahead.
Teach students to read and not to reason.
Whoa, wait a minute. Teach the students to read, but not to reason. Why would Christ say, blessed are the poor? Don't worry about that. Just say it over and over. And don't try to figure out the reason behind it. Why would Christ say, Just follow what I said. Don't try to figure out reasons of why this and that. That they taught us to read, but not to reason. Go ahead.
There, dear patriots, are some of the principles that you must apply. You will find many other books which will be given to you at the end of this conference. Evangelize the niggers so that they stay forever in submission to the white colonialists, so they never revolt against the restraints they are undergoing.
This is why when you look in Africa today, nobody revolts against France. Nobody. It's very submissive. White Jesus everywhere throughout Ghana. I'm talking about Ghana and Nigeria and Sierra Leone, Liberia. What the hell is this? Everywhere. If you thought it was bad in America, it's worse over there. Go ahead.
Recite every day, quote, happy are those who are weeping because the kingdom of God is for them.
Give me that one. Luke 6:21. He said, recite this every day. So when they cut your hands off and you crying because your children have no hands, just quote the scripture over and over and over. Read that, Solomon.
Luke chapter 6, verse 21. Blessed are ye that hunger now, for ye shall be filled. Blessed are ye that weep.
Blessed
now,
are ye that weep. Go ahead.
for ye shall laugh.
For ye shall laugh. So blessed are ye that weep, for you shall laugh. Blessed are ye that weep. But my daughter has no hand. My son has no foot. Blessed are ye that weep. Blessed are ye that weep. Blessed are ye that weep. That's what they teach our people. That's what they do. Going back to the letter. This man is the devil. I don't care what y'all say. Get mad if you want. I'm showing you facts. I ain't dealing with fiction. Go ahead.
Convert always the blacks by using the whip.
Use that whip. Go ahead.
Keep their women in 9 months of submission to work freely for us.
So the women they didn't escape. Go ahead.
Force them to pay you in sign of recognition goats, chicken, or eggs every time you visit their villages.
So anytime the white man comes, the woman got to bring them gifts, goats and eggs, and take care of these white people. Go ahead.
And make sure that niggers never become rich.
You see that right there? It was true back then. It's true to make sure niggas never become rich. That's why they take from the poor and give to the rich. Is that how they say it? That's what they do. Right, like they're doing it with these rappers. That's why, hey, if I give you a little bit of money, nigga, you better shut the hell up. That's what they do. Make sure we never get rich. Go ahead.
Sing every day that it's impossible for the rich to enter heaven.
You see that? That going back to, what was that scripture we read in Matthew about it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom. Just recite it over, make sure that they're mesmerized and hypnotized with that. Go ahead.
Make them pay tax each week at Sunday Mass.
What is that called? Tithes. Give me that in Malachi. Give me that. These damn devils. This was written in 1800s. Pay tax every Sunday. That's tithing. Malachi 3 and 8.
Malachi chapter 3 and verse 8. Will a man rob God?
Mm-hmm.
Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house.
Talking about food. It's talking about food. That's crops. That's what it's going into. So now going back to the letter and read that part again. So they would pervert these scriptures.
Yeah,
That's what they did. Yes.
Yeah, you notice they will give one verse with no precept involved to give you some type of sense to
They don't
discern
want you to
from it.
figure out the reason.
The reason.
Like, who knows where's the reasoning? Remember, it said, teach them to read, but not to reason. Sunday tax. In order to figure out the reason, you have to go where? Where in the law? Where? Deuteronomy 14. You got to go there, and it tells you it's crops and animals, and it was for the Levites only, 10%. Everybody will understand that. And how many times, give me that, Deuteronomy 14. Just read it kind of quick, Solomon.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22.
Here's the reasoning behind tithes.
Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed.
Seed, go ahead.
That the field bringeth forth year by year.
Mm-hmm.
And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in a place which he shall choose to place his name there. The tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the firstlings of thy herds and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always. And if the way be too long for thee,
If it's too far for you to get to Jerusalem, go ahead.
so that thou art not able to carry it,
Go ahead.
or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there,
Jerusalem.
when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it into money.
Then turn it into money. You going to Jerusalem, you in Mozambique, South Africa. Hey, it's too far for me to carry all these sheep and lambs and all that. He says, change it into money. Change it into money. Now you can make your journey easier. Go ahead.
And bind up the money in thine hand, and shalt go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after.
So when you get to Jerusalem, then you buy back the cattle, the goats, the crops, not crops, the seeds, the corn, the wine. Everybody understand that? Read on, Solomon.
For oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household.
Come on.
And the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him.
Because the tithing was for the Levites, not for the white man. It was for the Levites. Go ahead.
For he hath no part nor inheritance with thee.
Now here it comes.
At the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all the tithe of thine increase the same year.
Tithing was at the end of every 3 years. What is this every Sunday garbage they do? It ain't biblical. Go ahead. Solomon.
And shall lay it up within thy gates.
So let's go on back now.